The following podcast contains strong language. Hello and welcome back to the Ciné Rambles podcast. You're listening to Nick
and Andrew,
and we're here with your weekly fix of film-related reviews and ramblings. So last week we talked about Apocalypse Now, with you finally watching it.
Yep.
For all this time, and just a little bit of sort of not feedback, but like a return to that, and sort of picking up on one of your points about the abruptness of its ending.
Yeah.
Because you were saying that it felt like there was a scene missing from the end.
Yes.
And doing some research in the original cut of the film, over the credits played over the shots of the jungle being like napalmed and like sort of similar to the opening shot of all these flames and fire in the jungle.
Right.
But it was taken out because apparently the original like test audiences thought it was supposed to symbolise that he'd called the airstrike on the compound, which Francis Ford Coppola was like, that's absolutely not what's happened. So he then removed that. And then there's some versions of it, I think like the final cut has full on credits with white over black.
Yeah.
Like you'd expect. Well, I think you were saying like last time it just ends, doesn't it? Just like fades out.
Yeah, it just fades out and that's it. And there's literally nothing else.
But yeah, so technically there was supposed to be something after that scene, like
Okay. I mean, I can see why like they cut that, because if there was the napalming of the jungle, I would assume that exact same thing, that it was that, yeah.
And I think like the main takeaway as well, based on what Coppola said about that, is that he wants the ending to be ambiguous of the whole, like I was saying last time, about like what does Martin Sheen do next? It's up to you, kind of thing.
Right.
So, but yeah, just to answer that question, I thought.
Okay. Well, there you go. Nice.
Yeah.
And I have acquired Hearts of Darkness, so I will watch that, and then we can possibly do that on a quest for truth, perhaps.
Excellent. Yeah.
Okay. On to the show.
Yeah. So also last week we talked about Hamilton.
Indeed.
Which
I got.
Well, yeah, you've been ostracised for that.
I have.
What I predicted.
People, mostly Penny, was most upset that I compared it to Cats.
Yeah, I told you that was not a controversial decision.
Well, I mean, not like it's shit, like the Cats film is shit, because the Cats film is shit, and the Hamilton recording is good. I mean, it loses its magic coming to the small screen.
Would you like a shovel?
Is what I meant by that. And also, apparently, if you just think the Hamilton is okay and not the fucking best thing in human history of existing, then you need to dig your own grave and then get in it. Because that's what I've been told.
Well, I mean, basically, you can't refer to Hamilton fans as frothing at the mouth and then get away with it, really.
Well, they fucking are.
I'm not frothing at the mouth.
No, but the other two people we've talked about who have been very upset that I don't also froth at the mouth for it.
I think it was more your delivery of your criticism more than anything. But
they don't like my tone, obviously.
Well, it's not exactly very polite, isn't it?
Well, when am I ever polite?
True. But yeah, so I haven't got around to watching all of it yet, but I've seen the first half an hour now, which is enough for me to sort of answer the sort of questions you were posing last week. So I do think the sound mixing overall was better than I think I was giving it credit for last time.
Yeah, I thought there's nothing wrong with it.
It's certainly the sort of orchestra sounds like full and like properly mixed. It doesn't sound the sort of the distortion and stuff you get from recording in a space doesn't seem to. It seems like it's got the same sort of studio-ness to it. You'll soon come to find, even though I've done sound mixing for several projects, I still don't know any of the terminology for it. But there is. I do still think that the like I said last week about the recording isn't the best entrance into Hamilton. I'm still standing by that because I do think certainly some of the performances aren't as good as they are in the original recording. And I think there's definitely. I mean, that's part of the thrill of things being live is the way they differ. But the thing is, that's also like. But I do think certainly some of the singing was more off key, and while like there's like certainly with the proper Broadway recording, you get like lots of takes to actually get the best one. You sort of edit them together.
Well, so I do
And
know something about this.
oh yeah,
To stitch it all together, they recorded it on 3 different nights, one of which had no audience. So one was just with an audience, one was with a smaller audience, and then one was with no audience. And then they stitched those 3 recordings together to make what you see.
yeah.
So they are. I mean, I didn't see any differences in the quality of their performance, but that might be if you
No.
are seeing some sort of differences because it's over 3 different nights.
And I imagine there's certainly like, well, I mean, we can only speculate to where the edits lie and which night's which kind of thing. But I mean, I think it's there are definitely for me at least the best moments were as like the wide shots. Like there's certain shots where we see all of it, and all the set design, all the people dancing, and they're full. Like towards the end of my shot in particular, would look pretty good, and like those are the best moments. Well, like one of the worst moments I saw was in the 10 Duel Commandments. As we get to the end of that and we get the firing of the duel, it cuts everywhere to the point that you actually can't tell what's happened.
Yes.
And that's a perfect example of how. I mean, but the thing is, that's not even something that that can be done with editing fine. But if someone edited it really badly.
But you see what I mean? Like that, you wouldn't have just like what I mean by losing its magic. Like you wouldn't have that problem if you just saw it, live. But because they've, messed it around with the editing, you do lose some of that magic.
See, there's a thing as well, and this is, I think, when people, when like people talk like. Maybe slightly artsy or hipstery people talk about like just like single take wide shots in films and about how they're so like deep and meaningful.
Yeah.
And when there's a bit of wankeriness to it, they're sort of right in a certain way, and it kind of comes into theatre. Because when you're in theatre, like obviously you've got the whole stage to look at, but you're not necessarily looking at the whole stage at once. You sort of follow around the action, and in the same way a director through editing will direct an audience's attention. The director of the theatre will direct through blocking will direct the audience's attention, but the thing is, there's still that freedom for you while your head's in the same position. Your eyes are constantly moving within that like angle and picking things out.
Yeah, like one of my favourite things to do at the theatre is to watch the background people.
Yeah,
because I just love like they have to pretend they're talking and having a really in-depth conversation. I'm like, I love watching them to see how long they can keep it up for. Obviously, they always keep it up and they never break, but I always watch just in case they do. And I don't know why, but in a film you don't have that because
exactly. That's one of the
camera's
things.
Always on the main character.
Yeah, with one of the things of this is you sort of like it's almost like you edit it yourself, by you choose what you look at and how you sort of pace your eyes around the scene. But with editing it, you're then forcing the viewer to look at this thing from this angle at this time in this order. And while like I do think there's a degree of something that gets lost in that, however minor it might be. But
yeah. Also, I mean, the songs have grown on me.
Yeah. Have you heard from listening to them as the proper recordings, which you've started doing now? Have you noticed any difference between that? Would you say like have they worn on you more?
There are a couple that I really like. Then there are a couple like I don't I don't really mind. I really like My Shot is obviously very good.
Yeah.
The one where Lafayette is rapping really fast is
like
really
Guns
good.
and Ships.
Yeah.
That's another fan favourite. That one's great.
Also, apparently he holds the world record for the fastest rapping on stage or something.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Wow, nice. Good old W Diggs.
Yeah. There are some belters and the Angelica. Where was it? Helpless, and then the one straight
Satisfied.
after that.
Satisfied is low-key one of the best songs in Act 1. It's so powerful.
Definitely. But yeah, so what everyone I've talked to so far, I mean, I don't know what you think about this, but I mean, we were saying that of all the people on stage, Lin-Manuel Miranda is by far the weakest singer.
Yeah, which is a surprise because he's so incredibly talented. And
yeah.
like he's great on the recording, and yet in the video recording, like the Disney film, I don't want to call it a film because it's not a film, but you know what I mean. Like
it's a recording.
Yeah, he just seems a lot weaker, and he seems a lot like he's almost missing notes and sort of like almost. I'm not sure if monotone's the right word, but he seems like he's not like, like he's getting the pitch wrong at times. And stuff. I don't know. There's something
know,
off
yeah.
about it. Yeah.
But I think everyone else is just so unbelievably good. And then
Yeah.
there's him, which sounds really mean, but
Yeah, but it is strange as well because it almost seems like he was just having an off night. But then if they've had was he having 3 off nights consecutively?
3 off nights. Yeah, just three bad ones. Anyway,
Yeah,
we've belted on about Hamilton for a while now.
yeah.
Let's move on.
We'll leave it there. Yeah. But still talking about musicals.
Oh yeah, here we go.
I just thought, just a quick sort of inquiry because I'm not sure if I've ever got your official reading on this, but because there's some people who like absolutely. Basically, there's 2 camps. Either you absolutely adore musicals and love them, or you despise them. And you think they're silly and unrealistic. And I just want to know what kind of camp you're in on that.
Well, let me introduce you to a third camp.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm sort of down the middle because some musicals, like, really, really grate on me, and I just despise them, and I just cannot handle it, and I do not want to, it's just like fuck off. Such as Mamma Mia can fuck off.
That's fair.
But also Wicked, not a fan.
Okay. Have you seen Wicked?
I haven't seen the movie, but I've listened to like the music and stuff.
Okay.
I'm just like, nah. But also, I mean, Frozen to some extent, but then that's got, that's different.
Well, it's still a musical.
Different kettle of fish. Yeah.
But I mean, yeah.
But then some musicals I just absolutely adore, like La La Land, like Moana. For some fucking reason, I just love Moana. Also, it might be Lin-Manuel Miranda's writing.
It could be.
Yeah. There are so many that I'm just like, this is really good, but there are also so many that I'm like, I would rather shoot myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I think it depends on not necessarily the subject matter. I just
like. Do you think is it if the music itself is right for you?
Yeah, I mean it could be, but also I love Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog.
Yeah.
Also very good. And then there's other things that I don't care for at all. Like, have you listened to Jesus Christ Superstar or seen it or whatever?
So I've not like listened to it. I was going to say listen to it religiously. But so back at the start of this lockdown,
Yeah.
they had a load of Andrew Lloyd Webber's shows like for free streaming.
Yeah.
And I caught certainly the first act of Jesus Christ Superstar during that.
Okay.
So I've got a vague sense of it, yeah.
Because I don't. This might be an Andrew Lloyd Webber thing, but I'm not massively keen on any of his stuff.
No.
Because what's the other one? Joseph and his TechKNEEcolour dream coat, or whatever it is.
Yeah. I love how you pronounce TechKNEEcolour with a knee in the middle.
TechKNEEcolour.
Not TechNEEcolour. TechKNEEcolour.
TechKNEEcolour. Yeah, I'm not. I don't know, but these are things, like both of those plays my mum absolutely loved, and she would always play them in the car, so it might be that, like I just hate them because of that, but I don't know. But also apparently in the new Jesus Christ Superstar, Tim Minchin plays Judas, I think, or someone like that.
I think in the version I saw he plays him, yeah.
Yeah, and he's obviously amazing, so I don't know, might revisit it to see what I think now, but I remember hating them as a child, so...
To be fair, I think there's definitely... There's some sort of kernel within the musical theatre community who I don't think are massive fans of Andrew Lloyd Webber's music.
Yeah.
Like he wrote Cats, which even before the film wasn't his most popular work.
Yeah.
Have I talked about Starlight Express?
Yes, you have. Which is fucking weird.
Yeah. So for those who haven't heard of Starlight Express, if you think Cats is weird, he's done another musical about anthropomorphic trains who want to fuck each other. And I can't wait for the live action film version of that.
If that existed, that would be incredible.
Oh, God. The great thing is as well, because it starts out as him wanting to make a Thomas the Tank Engine musical, and the people who had the rights out were like, no?
That's so weird.
Yeah, he's a weird one.
Yeah. But yeah, musicals are okay. It just depends. Like, genuinely, it just depends. Like, especially with Disney musicals. I can just, it's some of them I really like Moana, like Mulan.
Yeah.
But then there's some others I can just take it or leave it, like The Little Mermaid, whatever. Don't like the songs aren't that good in that. Even the best one, which is Under the Sea, isn't that much of a bop,
But it was Oscar nominated.
Well,
Well, didn't it win actually? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm obviously I'm quite into musical theatre because I've been doing a lot of theatre stuff throughout my life. But I think I'd agree with you certainly that I think it must be a music like some musicals like their music just lends itself really I just get really into it, like things like Little Shop of Horrors and Dr. Horrible. I just really love the music of it, while other things just don't set my world on fire.
Yeah,
but because there is there are these people out there who just hate the concept of musicals as films because oh, it's so unrealistic, why do people burst into song, and I think that's just that's dumb.
Well, yeah, it's just suspension of disbelief, isn't it?
Yeah, because I mean you could apply that to any film, any genre has its stupid. That's part of the nature of escapism, and also there's something very sort of there's a sort of a raw emotion to singing. There's I now can't remember who said it, but there's a quote about in theatre you speak what you feel. When the emotions become too strong, you burst into song, and when those emotions become too strong, you dance it, and that's the progression of. And there's something about singing that really it. It has a much more profound effect on people than dialogue for the most part. It's a lot more of a direct window.
I think there's a reason it works for love stories so well, because songs lend themselves to being about, oh, I'm so in love, or heartache, don't they?
Yeah.
If you look at La La Land, that's the only fucking things the songs are about, aren't they?
Well,
or
not all of them.
No, I mean the majority of them. I suppose I say that, and then Hamilton's about the fucking war, so I guess that's something else entirely.
Is there maybe because there are definitely genres within musicals? Do you think you prefer romantic musicals over war musicals?
Not necessarily. I like Moana, and that's not very romantic, is it?
No, that's true. Which is rare for Disney as well.
Yeah, I actually really I think that's another reason I really like Moana is there's no forced romance, it's all platonic, and it's just they're mates, and that's fine.
Yeah.
And I like that. And also there's some absolute belters in there.
What can I say?
Exactly.
You're welcome.
But also, so did you know the village chief in Moana? So Moana's dad. That's Washington.
Oh.
It's also
I did not know that.
It's only Washington when he sings. When he speaks, it's Django Fett and all of the clone troopers.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's just a random one for you, but okay.
I wonder how much he gets paid for his voiceover work in the Clone Wars.
I mean, he technically plays
does he get paid for
every character? Yeah.
Oh. I mean, related bit of film news. There's the Bad Batch has now been announced. This new animated Clone Wars follow-up. But it's so
which is quite cool.
I mean, I've not finished Clone Wars yet. My understanding is it's following the last renegade group of clones who've defied Order 66, who are all presumably going to be voiced by that one guy.
By that one.
Is he the entire leading cast? I wonder. So when he does the lines, does he record each character in turn? Or does he just do them all on the spot? And just it's going back and forth.
That is something I think he does incredibly well in the Clone Wars, is he manages to make each clone feel like an individual character.
Yeah, it's amazing how much he does with the same voice, and yet there's still a clear differentiation between personalities and sort of
because they're all supposed to sound the same, but somehow they are very, very easily definable as different characters, which is just I think very, very impressive on his part.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of episodes where basically the entire cast for that episode are just a variety of clone troopers. There's no other major characters involved, and you can still tell who they are even when they've got armor on and stuff. And that is a real skill.
Also, some quick news about The Witcher.
Yeah.
So so in series 2, apparently it's all going to be in linear order.
Okay. Well, I mean,
Because apparently they,
season 1 was too confusing. Or
yeah. Not that it was too confusing, but, they got a lot of flack for not putting it in a linear order.
I mean,
But I feel like it could have just been saved with, just putting a fucking date on screen, or 10 years earlier, or 5 years later, or something like that. Just so we get an idea of the timelines, more so than just plonking random scenes, here and there. And then the other problem is, scenes could take place 10, 20 years apart, but because none of the characters fucking age, because they're all immortal elf wizards, they all look the same, so it's impossible to tell when they are.
It took me reading like a Reddit thread and till episode 4 before I finally worked out what was supposed to be going on.
Yeah.
I feel like it has the sort of it's not as bad as Primer, but like it has the same kind of idea of almost being sort of thinking it's too good for its audience, being like, we're so complex. We're going to make it really difficult for you to understand because that's how complex we are. But the fans, they'll get it because they've read the books hundreds of times. They know what we're up to. Yes, but you're making this for new people to get involved. We don't want them and their smelly shoes. No, we want the good old fans who are loyal and know us.
I don't know if it is like that.
I mean, maybe not. That's just me. But like, I felt like it felt like it was hostile towards, like it's been deliberately complicated so that new people wouldn't be into it in a weird way. I don't know. Because it's right, like so basically me and my dad were watching it as like our to watch together at lunch kind of thing, like which is what we're doing with Altered Carbon now. But if we weren't doing it as part of that, I would not have watched past the first episode because I had no idea what was going on. I didn't care. I would have stopped if we weren't watching it as together. So I don't know. It felt quite. It felt like it was somehow hostile in terms of it towards a new audience.
Yeah, I mean, I can sort of understand that, but I think it is trying to be more open to new people. I never got a sense of they're too stuck up for their own good or whatever. And I mean I haven't read the books, but as far as I'm aware, that flip flopping doesn't happen in the books either. But again, I could be wrong because I think the first book is actually a bunch of short stories set in the universe.
Right.
So they are set in different places and times. But apparently for the second series, they were like, we're just going to do it all in a linear order because that's the biggest amount of backlash they got. Which, to be fair, of all things you can have backlash about, that's quite a good. That's also, not the worst thing to have backlash about.
Also, by the end of season 1, it had more or less converged anyway.
Yeah.
So there's no reason to keep it in out of order anyway. But yeah.
Did you? So you enjoyed the series?
To be honest, not a massive amount.
No?
I mean, I enjoyed fleeting bits of it. I remember, I think it was episode 6, the one where they go to find the dragon was like the one episode I really liked. And it was partially because it was like, it was like the first, I think it was the first time, was it the first time? It was one of the first times we see like the groups properly come together. So we have the Witcher, and we have Scary Witch Lady come together.
Yeah.
As like, and also idiot character who's a bard.
Dandelion. Yeah.
Is that his name? Dandelion?
In the book, so Jaskier is Polish for dandelion, I think.
Okay, whatever he was called. But like with that, I think that was one of the first stories where we saw like all three of them together properly.
Yeah.
And it was clearly the same time period. And I like that. It was a self-contained, like unlike other episodes where they've got like fragments of the three plot lines all going together and none of them are really complete ideas. Well, this one was like one complete story.
See, that's interesting because that was my least favourite episode.
Okay.
Because that felt like they'd picked up a plot from fucking BBC's Merlin's cutting room floor and stuck Henry Cavill in it. But it kept the 2006 CGI. I
mean, CGI was... The dragons did look terrible. But I guess my point is, like, because it's like a self-contained story. I mean, the story's not even necessarily the problem. I feel like because it had... I mean, so we've got The Witcher and Scary Lady. And obviously their chemistry is a big thing.
The Witcher and Scary Lady.
I don't know their names, for God's sake. and like... Yeah. So obviously there's a bit of chemistry between them in the series. But I remember just like the one episode where we saw like a lot... Like for the whole duration, we saw the two of them together. And like just playing off each other.
They could have done more to show more chemistry between them, because there is the chemistry there, and the actors have the chemistry. But the first time they meet each other, they start fucking, and it's like,
Is that
sorry,
in
what?
is that in the episode before? Or is it
The one with the genie.
the orgy? Yeah.
Yeah, the
Is that
orgy,
is that episode 5?
I think so, possibly.
Okay, but then does that take place after episode 6?
Yennefer is her name.
Oh, okay, Yennefer. Because it's all
No,
Oh.
well, because I think that's supposed to be the first time they
Yeah.
meet,
Okay,
because
it must be then,
he
yeah.
uses his genie wish to make sure she stays in his life or something, and that's why they keep running into each other.
Gay. But yeah, like, so I mean, that's a valid point though. The first time they meet and they just instantly start fucking, and it's like no. So instead, in this episode, it's like, okay, well, let's have them just talk to each other and like bounce off each other. And I like that. Also, there was something about I don't know what to call this archetype. But the sort of the types of stories where you have like a band of like, I was saying this to you about Mandalorian as well. About, I think it was episode 6 as well, where you have like the main character, and you have like a band of other sort of individually characterized bounty hunters or misfits, and they all go in this group together to do a quest, but none of them trust each other, and there's a series of betrayals, and it all sort of whittle down.
Yeah,
And I really like that as a plot thing, and I liked, so The Witcher did that in that episode, and I liked that. So
yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
That just stuck out to me as the. Other than that, I just wasn't that into it really.
Yeah, I thought it was good. Like, some of the fight scenes were amazing, I thought.
I think so. Here, well, the thing is as well, because I know you specifically really like medieval fantasy, don't you?
Yeah.
But like I
I'm a
don't.
big fucking nerd.
But like, so Game of Thrones, I remember I didn't think I'd like Game of Thrones, and then it happened to just really like pull me in because it's so well made and so engrossing, so much good characters and stuff.
Yeah. And then they fucking held you prisoner because you cared what happened to the character.
And like I like Lord of the Rings as well because it's sort of so good that like it's almost impossible not to.
Yeah.
But I've never been passionate about Lord of the Rings, and other than Game of Thrones, there's no medieval fantasy I've gone really into. So maybe maybe it's just not like literally not my thing. Well, it might be more your thing, The Witcher. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I did really enjoy The Witcher. I remember being like, yeah, this is cool because, but I think with something that has such a huge fan base already, because whereas with Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones, they'd only ever been books, and obviously there was the Lord of the Rings cartoon, but
oh, the Ralph Bakshi, how do you say his surname?
There's the animation, isn't there?
Yeah.
It's not terrible.
Oh wait.
genuinely.
So that's the one that's called The Lord of the Rings, right? And then have you
Yeah.
seen there's another one called Return of the King?
I have not.
I don't know if it's by the same, but look it up. I think it's from 1985, I want to say.
Okay.
You're going to love that.
Okay. But yeah,
Oh my
but
God.
whereas The Witcher had the video games, so they've got the fans of the books, but they also have millions upon millions of fans already of the video games. So I feel like they had a lot of pressure to get it right,
Not to mention, I'm pretty sure it was like pitched in some way as being Netflix's Game of Thrones. So to then also follow in that shadow as well,
Yeah.
it is a lot of pressure. Well, to be fair, because how Game of Thrones ended, you could probably throw any shit on the screen and be like, good. Something else.
Yeah. We should do a Game of Thrones retrospective, because
We could do. I do want to, at some point, I do want to try and watch all of them back to back again and try to get like because I watched like the last few seasons like years apart, so I sort of forgot lots of it.
well, because there was definitely everyone was caught up in the hype for ages, weren't they? And I want to see like watching it now, knowing how it ends and what a shit show it becomes. Like, was it as good as we thought, or was it just hype?
I mean, I'll state it now, and then if we do ever do this will stand as my like the time capsule of my thoughts.
Yeah.
But like season 1 and 2 were fantastic. I don't care what anyone says about the rest of it, but those 2 seasons were just really, really, really stand out, I think.
I think, I agree. Season 1 and 2 are incredible. I think season 1 is my favourite.
Yeah.
I actually really, really like season 4.
Season 4 is also very good. There are some really good episodes in season 4.
Yeah.
Like I know, like Blackwater in particular from the end of season 2. That is one of my favourite Game of Thrones episodes of all time. Like of all the big battles, that one.
Yeah. That is
I think it's
one.
like on par with Battle of the Bastards.
Yeah.
maybe. I don't know. It's such a good
I
one.
think I really like the fucking finale of season 4 where it is just the battle of the wall or whatever the fuck it's called.
Oh, is that with the
The
whites?
wildlings attack. They attack the wall.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
I feel like I've forgotten the detail.
The one that's just an hour and a half movie of Jon Snow killing wildlings.
I'll be honest, I think I've forgotten that.
The one where dies.
Oh, okay, very vaguely.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Well, fucking hell.
But no, the Mountain of the Viper is the main thing I remember from season 4 because that was
Yeah.
a phenomenal episode.
That episode is really good. But yeah, that episode 9 of season 4 where it is just basically a movie of Jon Snow defending the wall, and it's like one of the only episodes where it never cuts away from to anyone else, you know, and it is just really solid. On like that episode is really, really, really good, and I think it holds up so well. Also, see, I don't know, it is good. I think the Battle of the Bastards is obviously amazing, but again, the rest of Series 6 is nowhere near as good, you know?
Yeah, I can't remember anything else that happened in season 6 besides Battle of the Bastards, really.
Yeah, exactly. I remember there being some bullshit about Jon Snow coming back to life, but...
Oh, yeah. Which is... Ugh. Oh, do you know what else was great in season 4?
Yeah.
I can't remember. Well, Brienne versus the Hound. That was a really good scene as well.
Yes, that is very, very good.
Game of Thrones. Well, also the slight aside about Game of Thrones now because we're on this, but like,
Yeah.
what I think part of the reason why I think it appeals so well compared maybe to other like medieval fantasy stuff
Yeah.
is because there's so many different plots and so many different characters, and they all combine in various ways. And also in every episode, you get lots of different things. You know, there's never just very rarely one episode on just one set of people.
Yeah.
So no matter what you're interested in terms of like your storytelling or fiction, there's normally one plot line that will appeal to you, and every episode will normally have a bit of that plot line. So
yes,
you know,
I do like that. Also, I think what it does that other sort of fantasy things don't do is that it shows that people are fucking bastards.
yeah, I like there's literally no one in Game of Thrones that's completely good or even completely evil necessarily. They're all just equally like power hungry bastards. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas in Lord of the Rings, like the humans are just good. You know, they are just inherently.
Yeah, they're holier than thou, even.
Yeah, exactly. They are just inherently the good guys. You know, as is the dwarves and the elves. Like, yeah, the elves are a bit snooty, but they're still good. Like, there's no there's no possibility that these guys are ever going to be the bad guys. There's always the orcs.
And Sauron is like the embodiment of evil. And there's nothing else to his
exactly.
character besides just being he is evil, registered trademark kind of thing.
But so, even like stuff like Star Wars is similar, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because even Han, who's supposed to be a scoundrel, is still he's not an asshole. He's not a bastard.
Or when they try to make him have rougher edges, Disney fucking not even Disney. Lucas just sands them off because it's like, oh no, it'll mess with the family image. But enough's been said on that.
Yeah.
But that does always annoy me about that.
But I just love the how well written the bad guys are, but also how it's like, they're not, people are imperfect, and I think it does a very good representation of day-to-day evil.
Yeah. They say evil makes it sound like a commute. Like, get on the tube, come into work, 9 a.m, do evil all day, get off at 5. Yeah. And the other thing with Game of Thrones, so like I've said before, like I really dislike everything to do with White Walkers and North of the Walls. Always I found really boring. But like, I mean, I've already made that point. I was gonna say like there's always like everything else about it is still there.
Yeah.
And it's still like,
But I like the politics stuff, but also I like the most interesting stuff about Jon Snow is the stuff with the wildlings, more so than the White Walkers. Like obviously the White Walkers are a big part of it, but what makes me love him and his character is that he wants to save everyone, even though they're wildlings and some of them are fucking cannibals and they kill everything and you know, and I feel like that's an interesting thing about seeing the other side and how he falls in love with one of them, and you know, all
Yeah.
that.
Because they've got everyone in Westeros, and certainly like the Night's Watch are all like, oh, the Wildlings are all evil, horrible, terrible people, and it's always propaganda. And they get north, and like most of them, they are just other people.
Yeah,
Again, there's no good or bad. They're both just sets of people, and like like John brings them together, and it's like that's another thing as
yeah.
well. There's a lot of like trying to bring everyone together to fight a bigger evil.
But there's also, and again, another again, it does a very good job of showing you how there's good on evil on every side.
Yeah,
You know, because like it would be very easy, and if it was Lord of the Rings, the Night's Watch would just all be very good, all be very honourable, you know, all be the perfect watchmen who never stray from their post, who are just the good guys, and
yeah,
versus the forces of evil. But it shows consistently that while some of them are very true and good people, there's also, you know, there's fucking loads of evil fuckers in there as well. And it's the same with, like, again, with the Lannisters. Like, even you're supposed to hate the Lannisters, but then there's still Lannisters you like, and they are just normal people, you know?
yeah. And there's still moments where you still like you feel for them and their struggles,
Yeah.
and like also the way they can reverse a character and your feelings towards them, like Jamie. In the first 2 seasons, you despise him, and later on,
Yeah.
he's great, and you
I
come to love
think
him.
his character arc would have been so good had they done the ending right. Like, his
Yeah,
redemption arc would have been incredible, but they fucked it right at the end.
yeah. God, season 8 was dumb.
Yeah.
So dumb.
I tell you what, though, I've got something quickly
Okay.
to say. Not about Game of Thrones, but saying redemption arc just made me, because again I've been watching Avatar.
Okay. Oh
And
yeah.
Zuko's redemption arc is fucking excellent.
It's exemplary.
It's so good. It's so well written, and it is amazing. And it's like, talking about good characters, Zuko's character is, you know, one of my favourite characters in anything ever. Because he's so well done, you know? And I love him, and I love Avatar. And I just watched you know, the Day of the Black Sun.
Is that season 3?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Is that right at the end?
No, so that's
Was
like
that?
the mid-season finale of season 3.
Remind me and the viewers at home what's in that.
So that's back in season 2, they find out there's going to be an eclipse on a certain day, and when there's an eclipse, the firebenders lose their firebending because all of their power comes from the sun, and so Sokka and the Southern Water Tribe men and some earthbenders and stuff, they come together and like, okay, so if we invade the Fire Nation on this day, the Fire Lord will just be a sitting duck, and Avatar Aang can just run in there and beat him up and end the war on this one
Just
day.
kicking in the balls.
And obviously it goes awry, but it's
Yeah. Okay.
that episode. It's a double episode, and Netflix sews it together, so it's just like 45 minutes long, and it is fucking awesome. It's so good. And oh my god, it's so good. Also, Netflix has stitched together. So you know how like the last 4 episodes are
It's a 4-parter.
it's a 4-parter. They've also stitched them together, so it's basically an hour and a half long film, and it's fucking great.
Nice.
Oh my god, I love Avatar so much. I could talk about it all day. It's just so good.
I'm definitely going to start a rewatch of it soon.
Yeah. What I'm really happy about, actually, on Netflix, apparently it's, I think it was either June or May's most watched show on Netflix.
Oh.
And it's had like this massive resurgence because of people watching it now that it's on Netflix. And it's like, it's just come back and had this massive boom again, and it's like loads of people are appreciating the animation and asking for more, like, and you know, they're giving it the time of day that they didn't before when it came out, you know.
Yeah.
And I really like that people are now starting to appreciate it so much more.
So is this in preparation for, like, is Netflix still doing the live action remake?
Yes, they are.
And is that why they brought the animated one on? So it's like,
Yeah, well, yeah, I think so. But so I did see there was some behind the scenes photos from the live action adaptation, mostly like how they were doing the visual effects,
Okay.
and like how they were going to do some of the underwater stuff. And it's like they're obviously putting a lot of money into the effects, and like they're going to try and make it look really cool. And to that I say, just fucking watch the the
Yeah,
cartoons.
I mean, we have had this discussion before, but I honestly do.
But it
I
fucking pisses me off to no
I just,
end.
yeah, I just do not understand the logic at all of trying to make a live action remake of not only of like a good animated series, but one that is so like untouchably like well constructed. Like it literally can't improve upon it. Or if
Also,
it all
it's
come like
famous not only for its good storytelling, but famous for being like this beautifully animated show
yeah.
that uses the limits of the limits of animation to its advantage. Like there is
Yeah.
no limits to animation, and they fucking use that so well.
Exactly. It is like a prime example of pure animation.
Yeah, I'm having intense deja vu right now.
Yeah, sorry. We should move on. This won't mean anything to you, but I'm going to say it just in case people at home know about it. But there's this anime called Cowboy Bebop. It's like a really classic anime.
I've heard of it.
I started watching it a while back, but never finished it.
Yeah.
I thought there were only 10 episodes and found out recently there's actually 26. I think I just stopped really early. But anyway,
Oh well.
apparently they're making a live action remake of it.
Okay.
And it's in development. And I was talking to another friend about this recently, and they were like, surely the live action version of Cowboy Bebop is Firefly.
Yeah.
Like, it's literally about like mercenaries in space, and it's like half Western, half space travel. It's like that is Firefly.
Yeah.
Like that's why. Oh, I just don't live action remakes. I mean, we've done this before,
Yeah.
but live action remakes
there was
are so dumb.
rumours ages ago that Christopher Nolan would do a live action remake of Akira.
Akira. Well, the live action Akira has been a really interesting because it's like they've been trying to do that for years, and no one will touch it because every time they try to do it, they work out the budget and it goes beyond $300 million, and they're like, fuck that.
But again, like that's the type of thing that, again, like to make that live action would just require so much CG that you may as well fucking make it animated anyway.
Well, exactly. Like again, Akira is again another really good example of pure animation, and
Because
like
it's fucking nuts, and it's fucking nuts, and it's the type of thing that works well as animation. Like, tell you what, saying that, I'd like to see like an animated version of Annihilation.
ooh,
Because I reckon they
That'd
could
be
do a lot more, that they were limited by, budget and
Well, even then,
CGI.
like-
But, well, obviously I know that animation costs fucking loads, but
but I mean, Annihilation does still, even though it's live action, it does look beautiful. The stuff in it.
yeah, it does. But, again, like, I'd really like to see it at an adaptation of that is animation, to see what they could do visually with it.
See, I'm very annoyed because you said animated Annihilation, and something flashed in my mind for like half a nanosecond, and I can't pinpoint what it was, but I feel like it was a film recommendation. And now I'm like, what was that?
Okay.
Oh, what have you done to me?
Is that enough for that? We bagged on about that for
Yeah,
ages.
we'll move on. So Andy,
Yes.
now that you've seen Apocalypse Now,
Yeah.
what do you think about Ad Astra in terms of, because they're basically
Okay.
the same. They're like, I'm not sure if Ad Astra is specifically adapted from Heart of Darkness as well, but they're very, very clear. Like they've got a lot in common story-wise.
Yeah, what, like drifting further and further away from civilization?
Well, yeah. So I mean, if we look at it, we've got this main character who's like really jaded and like kind of emotionally dead inside to a degree. I mean, he's given this top secret mission to go and find this like colonel or general kind of guy who's off far into the outer reaches of civilization, and they suspect he's gone mad and maybe killed people of his own type, nation and stuff. I forgot the word for nation then, but you know what I mean. Like he's killed US people, and they want him taken out because he's a threat. So they send this emotionally sort of dead person out to go find him. And we go through these, escalating set pieces of the sort of descent of civilization and the darker side of humanity as he goes further and further away, and in his head is like degrading and degrading until he has this final confrontation and has to decide what to do.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people have commented that Ad Astra is almost like Apocalypse Now in space. And I think that is a valid thing.
Yeah, I can actually see that a lot.
So I was wondering, well, do you think Ad Astra's better, or like, because
I did enjoy Ad Astra, and I don't know
yeah.
why it got the shit it got.
I mean, it was definitely flawed, but I think it
Yeah,
is
well,
like
no doubt,
yeah,
because there's a lot of fucking silly stuff in there. But I think it is similar. Yeah, definitely. But I don't know. It's something. There's something weird. Like, why choose characters who don't show any emotion? But in both cases, they sort of go from being dead inside to going slightly mad, but also still being dead inside.
yeah,
Do
I
you know what I mean?
suppose.
Like their character arc isn't amazing. I don't think
No,
in both cases. I think Apocalypse Now is definitely a lot more nuanced than Ad Astra, and they don't have the stupid "my heart never goes above 70 beats per second" or whatever. 70 beats per
so we
second.
yeah,
Jesus Christ.
yeah, I'm constantly on the brink of a heart attack. It's no big deal.
Yeah, but
It was interesting because obviously Apocalypse Now is this absolute classic that lots of people love,
yeah.
and so the general consensus is like Ad Astra's Apocalypse Now but slightly worse. So I was wondering, as someone who liked Ad Astra and was sort of lukewarm on Apocalypse Now, if you had a different take on that, or if you think they're on equal footing, or
I mean, I think Apocalypse Now is undeniably the better film,
okay,
but I don't think Ad Astra is amazing.
no,
I just enjoyed it because I like the visual effects and the sound editing and the visuals themselves were amazing. Whereas in Apocalypse Now, I don't know, I haven't really warmed to it. I just sort of feel the same. Like I don't really feel much about it. I don't know. It's like it was good, but I think it was just like just sort of ends and that's about it. And whereas Ad Astra should have ended
a lot
15 or
earlier.
20 minutes before it did. Well, before he should have never come home. Well, see,
Yeah, well,
that's
exactly.
one thing. I did say I would like to have seen him home, but that's only because I wanted to see if he would, how the madness has affected him back at home. Whereas in Ad Astra, he wasn't ever mad, was he? He was never. He was just
No,
sort of lonely. The madness wasn't the crux of it. Whereas, so he was just sort of like a bit miserable at home, a bit miserable in space, a bit miserable with his dad, and then he's back home and he's still a bit miserable.
see, I think because one of the key differences of Ad Astra is because it's his dad and he has this personal connection to him, unlike Colonel Kurtz, who isn't. What is the sense in Apocalypse Now that like through reading about Kurtz, Captain Willard becomes like it like feels like he knows him already, but he isn't actually like there's no personal connection already, any relation. Well, I
Yeah.
think it's like in Ad Astra, it's not necessarily he's going mad as such, but it's more like he's so overcome with his determined to answer this like big dramatic question of his life that he becomes increasingly more ruthless and sort of callous towards other human life. Like in that ship where he just like fucking murders everyone on it because he's so determined to like commandeer it and get to his dad, and like
Oh
he has
right,
no
yeah, yeah.
choice. Yeah, so I think that is one like key difference in the way that plot works. I mean, Willard is like more like sort of just like losing his mind
I think
and
as well, like in Apocalypse Now, it's heralded for being this amazing Vietnam War film about the cruelties of war and how they all went jungle mad and whatever. But then I think what didn't help is obviously there's the slight overhype problem, but we'll put that aside. But I
yeah.
watched a documentary about the Vietnam War.
Was that the Vietnam War, the series?
No,
Was it?
it was. I think it was just called the 60s or something, and it was about loads of these major events in the 60s. Or it may have been called the 70s. I can't remember. Either way, because they did one on the moon landings as well. It's a really, really good documentary series. I think Tom Hanks produced it, possibly.
All right.
Anyway, it's really, really good. But they had this one on the Vietnam War. And they had all these, startling facts and figures about how many fucking people died and how many like tons of explosives they went through, and it was crazy. But they also had these interviews with these veterans of the war, and of these actual Vietnam soldiers and one of them was, telling about how he and his 10 men were stationed in the middle of a jungle, and they just had to stay there until they were told to come back. And their captain had a cat, and they were so hungry that they mutinied and then ate the cat, and then they started fucking killing each other. And it's like, I was expecting more of that, like jungle madness. And I think because I saw a documentary of that where it was like a real case, and that man actually experienced those things, and you could see it in his eyes, like that really fucked him up for life.
Yeah.
Whereas with Apocalypse Now, I was expecting more madness, maybe. I don't know. I think because he was so jaded and so not showing emotions, that didn't help.
I think it's also like, because the problem with people talking about Apocalypse Now as a Vietnam War film, because of course it is a Vietnam film, but Vietnam's like a background element.
Yeah.
So
it could be set in any war, couldn't it?
Yeah, well, like, so we'll mention this now, actually, because our good friend Ross pointed out that I didn't mention the novel Apocalypse Now is based on. Well, I'm sure I did, but I'll mention it again anyway. So I think it's 1905-ish it came out. It's called Heart of Darkness. It's by Joseph Conrad. So in this, the original setting is they're on a boat going through Africa, somewhere in Africa. I can't remember which country. But so it's not during the war or anything. Right. So, but that's, they've essentially they took the plot of that, of like these men on a boat going deeper into the jungle and, going more and more mad as they look for this person who's gone AWOL, and just transplanted it into the Vietnam setting. And I think because of that, like, even though Kurtz is sort of tied to the US military because he's like a colonel and stuff, he's not really like the Vietnam War the Vietnam War and Colonel Kurtz aren't really related as like, as subjects. So the Vietnam War is very much like it's a background element in the film rather than like a direct focus.
Yeah, it's in Congo, by the way, the book.
Oh, okay, yeah. But yeah, so it's I think that is a problem, like trying to come to Apocalypse Now as like a Vietnam film in the same way as like maybe Saving Private Ryan as a World War II film. Like, I think it's like directly about that conflict and about, what's going on there. While it isn't, it's a setting for like a completely unrelated story. And I think that, and obviously like it still covers, like we were saying, like particularly in the Kilgore sequences. Like there's
exactly.
They do talk about stuff from the Vietnam War. And there's a lot of like moments about it, but ultimately it isn't the focus. It's like almost like a B plot, like a side story to the main just retelling of Joseph Conrad's novel. So I think that is, it's arguably a flaw, but I mean, it comes down to how you approach it and what you. I think there is definitely, like, if you're expecting a proper war film, there is disappointment in there from that.
Yeah. I suppose so. But I mean, the Kilgore scenes are, definitely the best, I think, because they are the most memorable, and of the whole film, that's what I remember most, vividly.
I do like as well, and it doesn't get talked about that often, but like, so you're talking about the whole like, jungle mad thing, and I think like maybe the closest it gets to that in the film is the the bridge scene and like the arsehole of the world.
Yeah.
And it's like there's like just these two men just like camped out on this bridge, and they have to build it every night for it just to be taken down the next morning by the Viet Cong and then built up again. And it's like, no one's told us to do it. We're just sitting here rebuilding this bridge. That's all we're doing. And like that, I think there's this real sense of like, like the jungle madness there.
Yeah, I mean, there's this bit, when they're in the river. I mean, the whole fucking thing's in the river.
You'd be more specific.
Towards the end, I think it's near that bit where all these soldiers are like jumping into the river, swimming towards the boat, like, "Oh, take me with you, get me out of here,"
Oh yeah.
And they're all going sort of jungle mad. And there's the bit where he, the main guy, Martin Sheen, whatever his name is.
Martin Sheen, I think.
Yeah.
Michael Sheen, someone else.
He goes to try and find who is the commanding officer, and they don't fucking know.
Yeah,
exactly. They're just doing it. And there's the bit where, those soldiers are trying to shoot. They think there's a sniper in the bushes, and they're just, shooting like endless machine gun fire at this bush to try and get the to get the sniper who they don't even know is there, you know?
Yeah.
And then the fucking guy, like, just chucks a grenade over there or something instead. But they had that, like, snippet of jungle madness, you know?
Yeah.
And I think the problem with that is that our main character reacted exactly the same to that as he did to everything else, which is minimal reaction, you know? He was just like, oh, they were like, oh, did they find the CO? And he's like, nope, there is no CO. And that was it. And it's like, just fucking react a bit.
I think that is a valid point about it. And like,
because like if we compare that to Taxi Driver, you know, because he's also a jaded Vietnam War vet, but he's got emotions, and it's a lot easier to sympathize with him and hate him, or, you know, not necessarily hate him, or however you're supposed to feel about him, you know, but you can at least ally yourself with him because he shows emotions. You can understand his inner turmoil, whereas in Apocalypse Now, he's just so stony faced all the time that it's like, okay, whatever.
I think, like, because I definitely see what they're trying to do with doing, like, oh wow, he's seen all this before, he must be really fucked up. It's the Vietnam War. But like, I think a case could definitely be made that it could be stronger if he was like, they were like fresh faced recruit, like he was as well. Even though it wouldn't make sense for him to do the mission, that's like the sticking point of it. Yeah. But like, if he went in as like a fresh faced recruit, sort of like Full Metal Jacket did, and like they think it's going to be like all war is fun, and then by the, you know, throughout it they get completely like destroyed emotionally, and like by the end of it and then by the end are completely like hardened emotionally and just do not, you know.
But even if they had something where he was like, you know, he saw something there that was the worst thing he's ever seen, and then, you know, he cracked or something. Something just to show that, you know, this is what the worst thing he's ever, like, he's never seen something quite as bad as this. But no, he's always emotionless, even up until the final moment where he has that turning point of he is going to kill the Colonel. He's exactly the same.
Yeah.
Because I just feel like, I don't know, it's fine. And that,
I would say I don't love it for its characters. I think that is a fair.
Yeah. But it looks cool.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we'll leave it there for this week's episode. You've been listening to Ciné Rambles with Nick
and Andrew.
You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/CinéRamblesOfficial.
And Twitter at Ciné Rambles.
And for more content, you can read the blog over at cinerambles.blogspot.com.
And email us at cinerambles@gmail.com for the stuff that you email things about people.
Great, very descriptive. They know exactly what they need to tell us.
Well, look, if they want to send you an email, a strongly worded letter of complaint, specifically deal with me slagging off Hamilton, I'm sure they will. I hope that, you know, one day when we're obviously internationally famous, renowned film reviewers, and this podcast is, you know, the biggest thing.
Oh yeah.
There'll be a collective meme from all of our followers that they just never email. Just to fuck with you, Nick.
I'm sure.
So, ladies and gentlemen, please don't email in. Because I think it would be funny, and it would make Nick sad.
I'd like to point out, I haven't mentioned email address at all this episode.
No, you haven't.
Record. Yeah.
You must be having an aneurysm.
So, Andy, have you got any closing remarks?
Yeah.
Besides taking the piss out of me?
You should phone me a doctor, Nick, because my heart never goes above 30 beats per second. Wait. 70. Shit. Fuck, I beansed it.
Also, shouldn't it goes below 70 beats? Or
wait.
No, well.
Yeah, it's above, isn't it?
Yeah. Why is 70 beats a second? How many? Hang on.
Well, isn't 70 beats per minute normal?
Yeah. So that's what, 70 times 60?
Yeah.
Oh my god, like 4,200 beats per minute.
Fucking hell.
That's dead.
That's your heart's popped out of your chest and is running
Yeah.
down the road.
No, come back.
It's like Ricardio. It's a Adventure Time reference I'm sure you didn't understand.
No, it wasn't.
Anyway, goodbye.
Goodbye.